works. Because we're staying high. That's what we talk about. So it has to get done. All right.
It
So,
does.
all right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, folks. Again, we're back. My name, Aswan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player and current five-time, soon-to-be six-time published author and educator. Back again for another Stay Hired Sunday. Little around the normal time that we normally do it. Just know football season is coming faster. Summer is coming faster. So if you do tune into these regularly, just expect there to be some adaptation and all that kind of stuff. But we talk about staying hired anyway, so you guys know how the deal works. So Kimberly, I'll introduce you before I update you guys on how things are going.
All right. I'm Kimberly Blue, founder and owner of Art and HR Solutions, and happy to be here as always. What is our topic for today?
Well, all right. So before we get into the topic, I have to give a shout out to all of the LinkedIn listeners. So I left this out of the intro. So for those of you guys who don't know, normally myself and Kimberly maybe spend about 5, if so long, minutes talking before we start recording. For the most part, you can tell it's a very impromptu show. So I do have to give a shout out to the LinkedIn listeners, particularly Jennifer Sheets, who's been listening to the show, and we got in touch this week. We got on a Zoom call this week, and she actually runs a radio station she runs a podcast named Workforce, Mastering the Workforce, but it's also in the form of a radio station in Nashville. So I will be traveling to Nashville 4 weeks from today on Father's Day to do an interview with her, and there's a lot of possibilities. In fact, she wanted to meet you, Kimberly, as well, because she's doing a lot in that world. She works a lot with this company named CEO Life. So it was a great deal of synergy. We talked about her possibly coming on, when she can come on, all that good stuff. And I say all that because you never know who's listening, you never know who you're touching, you never know how you're helping people, and you just never know how you're going to expand. So shout out. And she found me via LinkedIn. All right, she found me via LinkedIn. She found us. That's what I say. Well, I shouldn't say me. She found us via LinkedIn and loved what we were all about. And, that's the expansive nature. And that's the world we live in, to where if you're not putting yourself out there, then absolutely nothing. You can't expect anything positive, any opportunities at all for these kinds of things to happen to you. So 4 Sundays from now, like I said, on Father's Day, actually, of all days, I'll be in Nashville. I haven't been there. I've spent like a couple of weekends there when I was in Carson Newman College in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I am super pumped about getting back out to Nashville and getting a break from the normal grind. So wanted to make sure I started with that, because the topic that we're talking about today is going to be very conducive to, whether it's today or throughout the week. I'm going to be talking to you guys about worldview and understanding the importance of establishing and knowing your worldview, knowing your core values, knowing what you're all about from jump, because there's this little thing called artificial intelligence that is absolutely taking over the world. In fact, I just put an article out 2 days ago titled AI Accurate Information, because and I'll expand on this a little bit throughout the week, but I was incredibly frustrated with the major things that are happening for me, and kind of the feeling and the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis. It was just really getting annoying being around some of them. So, good old AI, sometimes it helps me. It could be.
I created a monster.
Yeah, it helps me with some therapy, man. I'm like, hey, man, what is up with these raging liberals, and why do they hate me so much? And they spit out a whole lot of stuff about me, and obviously stuff I don't have time to get into today. But it one of the things that it did do is it made it so I wanted to make sure I go over the article that Kimberly sent me. I planned on talking about this last week, but because it was Mother's Day, we actually got sidetracked. And she sent me a couple articles last week to go over, and some of them were pretty much about adapting to an AI powered evolution. And when I did that, when I was really feeling it, when I was going through it this week, and I put something in AI and I got such an accurate response back, like basically I'll tell you, I put a story. I was like, what children's story reminds you the most of me? And they put out the little engine that could, and they created a whole move swiftly. They made a whole thing called the Swift engine that moved, and it had plus all sorts of cool stuff they had, right? So I'm bringing all that up is because when you're putting yourself out there, this data is being collected, and based upon the questioning and based upon the things that you're willing to learn about yourself, you can literally be improving as you speak. You can be improving
Yes.
within that hour in terms of, I mean, it genuinely made me feel better from that hour in which I was like really down to the next hour where I'm like, okay, how do I create some content? How do I do this? How do I, apply this in some way, shape, form, or fashion to something productive? So today we're actually going to go over the article. So I haven't heard of this website. What's the name of the organization before I keep talking?
It's SHRM. It's the Society of Human Resources Management.
Okay, Society of Human Resources. And what kinds of things do they like do? We'll give Sherm some plug here.
We have to get them plugged. They are
Go ahead.
amazing. They've been around. They've been around for a long time. So human resources professionals can also get certified through SHRM, and they
Hmm.
have different
I
levels.
see it.
That they do webinars. They have a wealth of a knowledge base.
Mm,
Now they just introduced certifications, which are on right now.
mm,
And it could be not just the regular SHRM certification.
mm.
However, talent management is one that you can
Oh man.
get. And so they're really expanding their courses for
Mhm.
members. And I love the organization. It's great.
Oh boy, you guys know how I get when I get these ideas. I'm seeing register. I'm just like, okay, where what the tickets is, and I might have to be in Chicago now. Uh-oh.
Uh,
Okay.
it,
Okay.
you would love it. I'm telling
Yes.
you, if you have never been to a SHRM webinar or a conference, you should definitely go.
Hey, and again, you guys know we keep it authentic, we keep it raw. So what we will do is we will go over the article that she sent. I'll read it line by line, and let's always give credit to the author, Nicole Bradford. And right here we have, you could tell these are HR people because as you read it, and this is something I'm learning on the fly, and I want to make sure I break it down. But it has reuse permissions. It has stuff that is making sure it's allowed. Like everything when it comes to HR is all legal work, and it's what I'm learning is you have to align your vision, your passion with what's going to be acceptable, what's going to be worthy, what's not going to land you in some hot water future in later on in life. So I'll go over the article and then we'll go over the 5 questions as normal, and then we'll keep it like we always do. Organic, baby. Always organic and authentic. All right. So Future of Learning and Development, Adapting to an AI-Powered Evolution by Nicole Bradford, November 10th. And then another thing, and again, I will get to the article, folks. Just stay with me. Stay with me, please. Stay with me here. I'm coming. But we are recording this May 18th, 2025. The article was published November 10th, 2024. This is months ago. So when you're putting your stuff out there, you got to have evergreen stuff that's going to last, is going to be standing the test of time, regardless of when someone's consuming it. You got to put it out there. Whoa, I'm on one today. It must be sorry. I'm not supposed to be drinking so many Celsiuses. I've been forbidden.
You're cut off now. You're cut off.
Right.
No more.
Just let me get this last one in and we go get going. All right. Okay, here we go. The landscape of learning and development, L&D, is undergoing an unprecedented transformation, driven by the rise of AI. Today, the global L&D market is valued at more than $350 billion over the next 5 years. It's expected to grow significantly, fueled by advancements in artificial intelligence that promise to make corporate learning more adaptable, relevant, and personalized than ever before. The evolution is essential as organizations face the challenges of equipping their workforce with the skills needed for a fast-changing world. How AI is redefining L&D, learning and development, for the podcast listeners. So AI is rapidly changing learning and development, not merely by enhancing content creation, but fundamentally altering how learning is designed, delivered, and experienced. Here are key takeaways. Here are key ways that this transformation is unfolding.
Why don't you
Number
go
one.
over the main key takeaways, and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So for the podcast listeners, if you're not looking at it live, it has basically, I wanted to make sure I read the intro word for word, but it has the takeaways in bullet points. It is 4 takeaways, and it has some other headlines here. So we're just going to go over the takeaways. I'll skim through the takeaways, and then we'll go from here. So number 1 is hyper personalized learning paths. Traditionally, one size fits all training models are quickly becoming outdated. AI enables companies to craft hyper personalized learning experiences, advancements. with this trend among Jeff, founder of the Carry Will Cross. Okay, so let's go there. Hyper personalized paths. I'll let you talk. I've talked enough. I'll let you go on this one because if I keep talking, I'm going to get very long winded on this. So go ahead.
So what was the first one? I didn't hear it. I'm
The
sorry.
first one is hyper personalized learning paths.
Yes. So, the one thing that I always like is career mapping. And there's always has to be a learning path for each role that you have. And what is great when what they're saying about that is I'm hired as, say, an HR assistant. What does that look like? It should look like, HR assistant, HR manager, and then, go up. And in those each roles, there should be a learning path for each of them.
Hmm.
So it's very personalized and it should be personalized to the person or to the
Hmm.
role. And
Hmm.
with the AI generated, I went on there myself, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, and I said, create me an HR training module from
Mm.
entry level to executive level. And in just a few minutes, I had a whole framework for doing
Hmm.
that. And that's really what it's about is making sure that the training is valuable and not boring. It actually brings value to the employees and helps them grow.
And also on that point, be sure you are also reading. Here's what you can't do. You can't just put it out there without proofreading it yourself to make sure it's aligned with your personality as well. Because what can ultimately happen, and what the truth has sort of been shown and what's been revealed, is that in many times you get an HR thing or you get something in which AI can do something for you, and you as a leader don't make sure you're proofreading it to say, if you want someone to go from assistant to manager to executive to the founder, you got to actually say exactly how you envision a person
Okay.
doing that, so it's personalized to that person. All right, that's also very, very important. So number two, accelerated content creation and delivery. AI tools now allow for rapid production learning content, including courses, case studies, and simulations with AI-driven generations. All right, so that one's pretty self-explanatory, and I could speak to it a little bit before I let Kimberly go. But when you're talking about accelerated content creation and delivery, again, I repeat, you got to make sure you're putting your own unique spin to it, and you have to know exactly who you want to serve, folks. Okay. What I've been able to do since I have become, I wouldn't call myself an expert on ChatGPT, but I would tell you I've become very knowledgeable, become very much understanding how well it can help my business, how well I can put out so much content, so much quality content on a more frequent basis. Because of that, there's so much more of a target to you business owners. So much more of a target to the people who I know are going to pay me to teach their staff how to adapt to these things. So I'm not as commentary about some of the some of the just nonsense. There was this big thing on the internet 2 days ago where there was a graduation. You might have heard of it. It was a graduation in high school where it was mostly black kids, and they started playing some music and they started dancing around and going crazy, basically making us look very, very bad. Now, before AI, I might have chimed in and gave a rant and decided I want to talk about that. But mentally, based on the conversations I had with ChatGPT throughout the week, I said, you know what? I'm gonna stay out of that one. I ain't gonna touch that one. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna focus 1,000%
Smart move.
on the and you've seen some of these. You see me go on some of these rants that were, yes, good rant out them, but a business owner doesn't care about any of that stuff you're talking about. You need to align yourself because we have the opportunity to do it now. So when they say accelerated content, I want to make sure I'm on record to let you guys know, be careful with using it so much, because when you use it so much, you got to nail down who you want to go into. It's great that it's here, but if it's going to the wrong person, then you're ultimately ruining yourself, because you find yourself getting trapped in a conversation that leads to absolutely no results for you, nothing that is going to be positive for you. So
Yep.
I'll let you go when it comes to that one.
So
I
what
haven't been,
really
and by
does
the way,
it?
I haven't been on TikTok since the damn election because I tried and then I never know how to get it back. But I did see you sent something on TikTok, so hopefully it's doing well. Hopefully my TikTok account is doing well, guys. If you're following me on TikTok, hopefully it's doing well.
Well, yeah, it seems to be. How about that? So
Yes.
I will say that, I know we talk about different AIs. it's not just chat BTT. The one thing going back to the learning and development
Hmm.
is that you can actually write all of your content that you want for any role,
Hmm.
and you pop it into different AI, and they will actually have an AI bot that looks like a human
Hmm.
deliver that training for you.
Right.
It's not always content creation. It could be you just want a professional voice.
Hmm.
My dogs apparently have decided that they want to be involved in the podcast today. So
Let's do it.
excuse me
Let's
if you
do it.
hear them.
There's room. There's room.
So you can also do that, and it's all your content. So it's not just about content creation. It could be anything from, safety, and you don't have a safety person, but you have the content and you put it in there, and AI is now your safety person,
Mhm.
because you're providing that content.
All right. All right, I got it. So that was number two. Number three, and this one I'm gonna have a lot to say on this one. So just putting it out there now as a warning for you guys. Get ready to hear me fuss a little bit when it comes to this. All right. Number three, podcast listener says learning in the flow of work. AI now enables learning to be seamlessly integrated into daily work tasks, enhancing both workplace productivity and accessibility of learning content. This approach provides employees with relevant information and support at the exact moment they need it, eliminating the need to step away from work and for separate training sessions. Instead, employees engage in continuous adaptive learning that builds their competence. Who wrote this again? It was Natalie Bradford. Okay, Natalie Bradford. If you are tuned in, I have to tell you, I have to agree to disagree with this. I'm not sure if you wrote it in a sense of it's a positive thing, but anytime we're talking about replacing the idea of learning, that's where I got to step in and make sure we get something incredibly clear. All right. Learning is done by you as a human. Okay, learning has got to be something that you teach in school. Let me just break it down a little bit, and I don't mean to throw the school I teach at under the bus, but in many schools, and I won't even put my school, but our school is guilty of this as well. That's why I'm not putting the name out there. But in many schools, I don't agree with how much we let the older kids use the iPad, and how much iPad work you do at that age, because I'm a firm believer that, hey, you got to still write stuff down. You still got to teach kids the habits of taking notes. Like, I'll even show you. I walk around with it every single day. I have my notepad. If something hits me in class, the kids see me writing it down and say, man, I'm gonna text Kimberly this, I'm gonna do this. I'm always making sure I'm putting pen to paper. And what happened this week is there was like some assessment with all the kids were on grade level or they were doing well, but when it came time to actually write a full sentence out, they're giving me so much pushback, and I'm getting into fights with students because they're not used to actually having to write out a full sentence and read to it, like be a critical thinkers. So when you talk about learning in the flow of work, we got to make sure that we're still making it so the people who are coming to our businesses and coming as employees, contractors, shareholders, you name it, that they're willing to learn and they want to get better at whatever the subject matter is. The subject matter is going to make you want to learn more about the subject. Like same thing, even when I played football, there was players who, like, the coaches would give us these big scouting reports, and throughout the week, we were supposed to look at them. The players that weren't playing that much, they would not crack open the damn they would not crack open the binder that they got throughout the week. And if time came in for them to get into the game, they wouldn't know what they're doing. So the point is, learning, you have got to commit to learning regardless. You cannot let AI do the learning for you. You can help, but you can't let it do the learning for you. I know I got long-winded there, but I'll let you go,
But there,
Kimberly.
I mean, it's true, because if you can't let it do everything for you,
Yeah.
you do have to learn, because then you can't have a conversation with people about it if you're
Hmm.
not really learning it, because then you're not knowledgeable about the subject. And it's great to use AI as a tool, because it is a great tool, but you shouldn't rely it just solely on that. It should not be
Right.
your only tool to use.
Right. And that has been the biggest adjustment that I myself have been trying, I've been trying, folks. I've been trying my best to learn how to adjust to that new reality where some people are just, it's almost like having millions of dollars. It's just gonna give a person an opportunity to be who they actually are on the inside. And If you're a lazy mofo that just wants to use somebody else and use something else to do the work for you and do the learning for you, that's what you're
Not
gonna
gonna
get. So
work.
parents, yeah, parents, be aware of that because the school systems, all of them are adjusting. All of them are they're sending your kids to school, and they could put all sorts of things online to make you as a parent feel like your kid is doing really well. When
Yeah.
I'm again an individual that's in the classroom every single day, and I could tell you how it's actually affecting them and affecting their communication skills, and we're gonna get into that right here. But these are things you as adults, we as adults, I should say, have got to pay attention to. So that being said, number four, right there again, this wasn't planned. It says it right there. Emphasis on human skills for adaptability and resilience. With AI handling routine tasks, there's a growing need for training critical human skills. Oh my God! I didn't read this. I didn't read this before, guys. So, for human skills such as emotional intelligence, adaptability, and critical thinking. Did somebody say that, Kimberly? Did somebody just get finished saying that?
I think so. I think we were talking about that once or twice.
There we go. All right, good. So basically, number four, podcast listeners is saying everything I just said before I read it. So we'll go to the next phase of it. So the new role of learning and development professionals as AI takes us over the routine, the task, strategic partnership. So here's how two major ways. All right, becoming data fluent and AI literate, and number two, moving into strategic consultation. Oof. All right. There's a lot there. I'll let you speak on it a little bit because you're more in the world of HR. How does, I mean, data, if data fluent and AI literate and making it into a strategic consolidation, what would you tell someone that's coming to your world or coming into you? How would you tell them to navigate that? Like kind of walk them through that process a little bit.
So I love data. I'm a nerd. And now you know my secret. Um, And
Mm-hmm.
AI is amazing to be able to help you create it because we've been using it for years, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
manual, an Excel document, Tableau, whatever your source is that you like to put your data in. But
Mm-hmm.
you can't get better. You can't measure how well you're doing without getting accurate data. And that's the key because your reporting is only as good as what you put in. And so when it comes to data, having AI, having a framework, no matter what it is that you use,
Mm-hmm.
if you give it the information, and then you're going to have a correct output and be able to manage your business. And it's not just for learning development, it could be operations, just having those metrics to know where you
Mm-hmm.
have to pivot and change and be better.
Yes. And then the second thing for you listeners too, after the data is understood, the strategic consolidation, it very much, and I always use the example, and she had just mentioned it. We've always been using AI to some degree, but it's very much like if you have a back injury, you're not just going to a normal doctor, you're going to a chiropractor, right? If you
Right.
have something specifically that's wrong with you, you're going and seeking out the person who is specialized in that. So what I would suggest, strongly suggest, something I'm doing right now as we speak. If you have been keeping up with me for the past 4 months, you've seen a complete focus and alignment in terms of who it is I'm serving. It's because the data I'm getting now, it's allowing me to strategically consult with a specific type of person. So now when folks look me up, just like I was mentioning with Jennifer Sheets, when folks look at me up, there's okay, that person's about employee development and creating systems that are going to help employees. Boom,
Yeah.
that's it. And when you do that, you just never know what's going to happen. All right. So really, really lock in on that because it saves you a lot of time, saves you a lot of conversation, saves you a lot of heartache when it comes to you dealing directly with your $1 million clients as opposed to your customers that are only willing to pay a 10 or $15 for a book
It's
or something like that.
Yeah,
So
it's so huge because you could use it in so many different areas.
mhm,
You input whether it's your sales, um, no matter what kind of sales it is, and then you can ask AI, no matter which one you use, tell me who my top customer is and who I
mhm.
should focus on, and then tell me how I can improve on my bottom five customers.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so it's great that you know the great stuff, but it's even better to know where you're lacking and how you can get better. Learning development, you could do the same thing. How often do people push through the video? How often does someone finish it within 30 minutes, a time frame? Once you have the answers and to any part of your business, and you have a solution, then you have a goal to work towards. So
Yes.
it makes it really easy to get the data mining.
Right. And so the last little bit of the article is basically looking forward and balancing tech with tech innovation and human growth and all that. So it's pretty much reiterating a lot of the work, a lot of the things that we've already said. So we will get to the speaking of AI, we'll get to the questions that was generated by AI. Very similar to things that we've already answered, but I'll put them on the screen and then we can kind of discuss it as we wrap up. Another, and if I have to say so myself, damn good episode of Stay Hired Sunday.
Absolutely.
All right. So, how is AI transforming traditional learning and development, learning and development models within organizations? Again, we've already answered that, but the quick answer would be that it's making it so things are happening a whole lot faster. You're able to organize your thoughts. With all of the stuff going on, I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to post this and got distracted and did this, and something else comes in my brain to where if I could just plug it in somewhere, put it all in one spot, have it organized, it would make life a whole lot easier. So it has helped keep especially if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, anybody that has a lot going on, it helps keep the anxiety down. It comes to what you're going to put out there.
Yeah. And it also, it helps align, things change, right? So
Mhm,
whatever your organizational goals are and what your plan is,
mhm.
this can help you within your organization to even further with your training plan.
Yep. And question number 2: in what ways does AI accelerate content creation and delivery in corporate training? And what implications does this have for learning and development and learning and development professionals? I'll tell you now. I was actually thinking about this because yesterday I was at a home buyers meeting, and they actually did the home buyers meeting in an office. I have it right here. Okay, so they were smart enough to connect. It's a husband and a wife, so she found her own company, and they were smart enough to connect with the scholarship plug, like a plug with other colleges, because they know if somebody's going to buy a home, they're also going to probably want scholarship money based on their family and stuff like that. So when you're talking about accelerate content creation and the corporate training, you can actually go out and connect with the right person to build your business. So speaking of college, you might say to yourself, look, college may not be the thing I need to do. Like I may not need to be paid, a fortune for these big universities, because I can learn how to build my business on the side and then maybe go to school part-time. There's a lot of things. I'm really looking forward to this next generation of kids, the next up and coming entrepreneurs, to really figure out how to nail this thing, man. So that's what I have to say about that one.
Well, I think that I'll address the professionals that are
Hmm.
in learning development. I think it's going to make you more strategic. It's not going to replace you. It's going to, have critical thinking of what's
Hmm.
best for the organization, and you're going to be able to deep dive into what works and what doesn't work. But you have to be able to adapt to the AI and not just depend on traditional learning.
All right. Question 3, we're on what is meant by learning in the workflow and how does the AI facilitate? We already answered that one. Let's go with 4 and 5 because I see we're running a little low on time. Somebody has to stop going on all these rants, I swear. All right. Number 4, how does the role of learning and development professionals evolve in response to AI integration, particularly regarding data fluency? So yes, Kimberly did
I
just
just
give a
said that.
master's. Yeah, she gave you gave a master class on that one. The data fluency though is something that can get overlooked because
Yeah,
so much information. It's not as accessible. This actually happened with the Facebook, just the evolution of the internet in general. Information became less valuable because it was easier to get to.
easy to get
So
to.
again, these same principles now you have to understand. I get it's easy to get to, but it's not it's still very important that you apply it and you use it the right way. So final question: what challenges might organizations face when implementing AI-driven and leader learning and development programs? How can they address these? I again go back maybe 10 to 15 minutes when I just talked about the students who, on one end, again, they're doing great. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you they're not doing. They're ill intention, but with the usage of these and iPads and all these things, in many ways, they can forget about just jotting things down, basic writing cursive, full sentences, all those things that you're still going to need to know how to read and write. And you can't tell them that they've learned everything because they've been mastering an iPad, doing things on an iPad where there's other information, there's other things that can make it so numbers look like they're doing great things when in fact they're not developing at a rate that you would want as a leader. So I'll officially drop the mic with that. I'll kind of give you the last word if you want to chime in at all.
I look at, I agree with you. And I also see, with that question,
Mm-hmm.
some of the challenges are being able to keep up with the changes.
Oh, well,
You develop, a program that may work right
mhm.
now, but is it going to work in 6 months? So you have to be really forward thinking
Yes.
about, your strategic plan and understand that the generation that is coming learns a lot faster and differently. But the generation, say my generation, we learn differently as well. So
Mhm.
one of the challenges, how do you fit that all into one training program?
And
And one of the
yeah, go ahead. Go
things that I
ahead.
really like that I've seen for the younger generation is gamify learning, gamifying applications because they're gamers. Give them the best shot at winning by
Mhm.
doing what helps them. And if you know anything that we've talked about before, there's 5 generations in the workplace. That's a challenge. It's a challenge
Mhm.
from leadership and learning. And so you have to look at it from that lens and think differently.
Yes, and just because you said that, I got to give a shout out to my good friend Crystal Reeves. She's the founder of Connected Class, and she did a workshop for us. She's actually been on the podcast too, but she did a workshop for us where it was like multiply rock paper scissors. So rock paper scissors 2, the other person puts 3. Okay, what's 2 times 3? Whoever says the answer quick enough, they're the winner, right? So rock paper scissors, someone
Yep.
puts a 4 out, the other one puts a 5 out, 20. Whoever says the
That's
21st wins. So these are things again that took a human brain implementing
to
something
figure that
that's
out.
going to be figured, and then now they're playing it as if it's just a fun thing to do, and they're doing multiplication problems as if it's fun. So gamifying, absolutely, I think that's probably the gem of the episode today is gamifying these things because we actually can. So all that being said, again, fellow teammates, we're here this channel, we do this every day. If you listen to this on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, I'm here pretty much every day doing something. But as far as this Stay Hired Sunday, we do it every single Sunday. Next week, I'll be in Naples. We're doing some Memorial Day stuff. So I'm not sure what time we'll be on, but just know we're going to be on. We will figure that part out.
We'll let you guys
But
know.
yeah, we'll let you guys know. Just know you can always catch the recordings and stuff like that. So I'll give you the last word. Good.
Well, thanks for joining, everyone. If you have any questions, you can always reach either of us.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice and amazing as always, and we'll see you next time.
Later, guys.